I'm looking forward to presenting checks shortly to school leaders who were awarded funds under the Facilities Equity Initiative, and I know that the Commissioner has much more to share, and I'd like to call her to the podium now for her remarks. And I also want to thank her publicly for her leadership during this time frame that we're challenged, but we're meeting the challenge, Commissioner, and it's a pleasure to be working with you.
All right, there's a lot going on here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Governor McKee, for your kind words. But also, I want to say to everyone that when we go to the governor, we meet with the governor 3 times a week, maybe. Some start at 7 o'clock in the morning. And what's been incredibly impressive, Governor, has been that when we have said we need this for education, he has said, let's get it done. And that's why you see it in his budget ask. You see that he has made the commitment to education. So before I get started, I want to thank you publicly, Governor, for being insistent at 7 o'clock in the morning. So when I first arrived in Rhode Island in 2019, seems like a million years from now, I was struck by the school buildings that I saw across the state. In every community, there were schools that needed repair, schools that were crumbling, that had a lack of investment, and our students and educators understood that we were not invested in them. How could we tell our students and staff that education matters if we're not sending them the right message by having school buildings that are up to par? But fortunately, I was entering the effort to improve Rhode Island schools at a vital and unique time. We just made a statewide commitment to revitalize our facilities into the 21st century. Since the passage of the 2018 school construction bond, the School Building Authority has been hard at work rebuilding our schools and creating new vibrant spaces. We know that physical spaces of our students is extremely important. The learning that happens. The buildings is not just about being safe, warm, and dry. It's about having an environment where kids can actually learn, where the building helps them learn. So it's no more about what we used to have, it's about what we need to be current. And that's what we're doing here today. We need for more modernization, more now than ever. The world powered by ever-changing technology is in the wake of COVID, when our students are using equipment that was outdated before they were born. We're failing to set up our kids for success, so we can't wait any longer. That's why we dedicated our funding to the projects that we will have the greatest impact, including new media centers, science labs, to ensure that our students have resources that they need to prepare them for success and beyond. We're especially dedicated to rebuilding the underserved communities, like Central Falls, West Warwick, Woonsocket, Pawtucket, and Providence, together receiving $20 million for Facility Equity Awards. And I want to say something very quickly. Mario, who is here, they come to my office and they say, I have an idea. And I know that means I have to get a cup of coffee, get my notebook, and sit with the idea. And the idea was, we're always talking about equity. But if we're not putting buildings in places that have never received funding, then we don't mean equity. So Mario, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So in a few short years, our students will, okay, this is not working. Our students will be in new buildings. One of the commitments that we made, in particular here in Providence, is that we wouldn't do these patch-up jobs. Many of the work that was set out, by the time we would finish it, we would have to start again with the roofs. We would have to start again with these projects that would end up costing us 10 times as much. So that's why it's important that we think innovatively, that we push the envelope, that we be creative. And some and also copying some things that have been done in the past, like in Pawtucket, right? Having swing space. Those are important decisions. So we're incredibly grateful that we now have in Providence the old Windmill Elementary School will be our swing space. And what that means is that kids will be able to go there for a year or maybe less, so that construction can take place during the school day as opposed to after the kids have left and the summer, where it would take almost 3 years longer than it should. Today, we have Councilman Narducci here, who will come up shortly to share more how impactful Windmill School project will be. I had the pleasure of meeting someone that actually went to Windmill when it was a school, and there's a lot of history. And the fact that we've allowed buildings to crumble is a shame, but we're not doing that any longer. We know everybody here understands the value and the importance, and our report speaks to the work of every mayor, superintendent, teachers, students, everybody that's here. The fact that we're out here in whatever the temperature is today says to everyone how important this work is, how we as a state come together. There's some people that I need to recognize before we move on, and that is Neil, who is always on board. Because once I get these plans and ideas, I go to Neil and say, hey, Neil, can you support us with these plans and ideas? And Neil always says yes. If it's right by kids, what I've learned in Rhode Island is that we don't always agree about everything, but we agree about one thing. It is about our kids. And we will come to the table, do the work, and work together to make sure that our kids get the best education. As I always say, we don't want to be Massachusetts. We want to beat Massachusetts. And we're on our way.